Hello students, good morning. In today's video, we are going to continue with our poem Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, written by Thomas Gray. We have read its last 15 stanzas. Now we will begin with stanza number 16th. The applause of listening senates to command, the threats of pain and ruin to despise, to scatter plenty over a smiling land, and read their history in a nation's eyes. In this stanza, the speaker is trying to convey that if they would have got chance, what they could have done, the dead villagers' situation, or lot, here lot means their fate, kept them away from receiving the applause and approval of politicians. Their situation also made it impossible for them to blow off threats of pain and ruin, nor could they spread good stuff all over the country. In this way, they also could have won the name in the eyes of their countrymen. But the villagers were poor and they died unknowingly because of their poverty. Now we will move towards stanza number 17th and 18th. Both stanzas are connected with each other because the last line of the 17th stanza is running across the stanza number 18th. So we will read it together. Here speaker says that not only does the poverty of the villagers prevent them from developing the virtues that would get them remembered in the history books, it also keeps them away from committing crimes. Here are some examples of the crimes these poor villagers just don't have time to commit since they are busy working to put food on the table. They don't have time to wade through blood and gore to kill a king on his throne or to act all merciless to people. Here, use of another metaphor, slamming the gates of mercy, is a metaphor for being merciless. Further, the villagers' fate in life keeps them away from trying to hide the truth, especially when the truth is struggling and conscious of being the truth. Their situation likewise keeps them away from trying to hide their blushes. After all, we all know a blush indicates that you are ashamed of something. Here the word ingenuous means innocent. In the last two lines, the speaker is saying that the poor villagers also don't have the chance to use fancy and flattering words to build a metaphorical shrine to the personified luxury and pride. Here, the poet has used or introduced muses. Who were muses? The Muses were the goddesses in Greek and Roman mythology who were responsible for inspiring artists, musicians, and poets. So the incense that was lit at the Muses' flame must be a pan that is metaphorically kindled, lit up, or inspired by the Muses. Now we are moving towards our stanza number 19. Here the speaker says that since the poor villagers who are buried in the churchyard live far away from the noise and strife of crowded cities, they never learn to stray away from more sober, serious wishes and desires. It was because they live in a secluded area they were able to live their lives without making a lot of noise. Here in this stanza, I have a fun fact for you. Thomas Hardy, the great English novelist, has used its line by making it his novel's title, Far from the Madding Crowd. Now, we are moving towards our stanza number 20. In this stanza, the speaker is saying that even though these poor villagers don't have big fancy monuments or trophies over their graves, they are at least still have frail, flimsy memorial nearby, if only to protect their remains from the insult of having people picnic or play on their graves. These flimsy memorials aren't made of fancy marbles, they just have rough, shapeless sculptures to deck them and are decorated with crude, uncouth poetry. But even though the memorials aren't fancy, they still inspire passerby to pause long enough to sigh or feel sorry for them. Now we will move towards to our stanza number 21st. Their name, their years spelt by the unlettered muse, the place of fame and elegy supply, and many a holy text around sea strews that teach the rustic moralist to die. The frail monuments are engraved only with the dead people's name and the years of their birth and death. And even this simple inscription was clearly made by someone who was largely illiterate. The speaker uses irony when he says that inscription was made by a muse. Since the muses were goddesses of poetry, how could they be illiterate? Now the poet is saying, these simple inscriptions take the place of fame and fancy elegies. The unlettered muse also adds the occasional Bible verses that inspires country folks to think about death so that they will be prepared when their own time comes. Thank you.